It was a normal day in Letcher County, Kentucky, on Thursday, September 20th, 1917. There was no indication of the events that would unfold that evening at 4 p.m. The Louisville and Nashville passenger train number 1 was making a daily run. The train traveled from Lexington and entered Seco on its way to Neon, Kentucky. The train was filled with men, women, and children. Everything was in running order with the engine, and there was no reported faults. At the Neon rail yard, a coal engine, which was not numbered in any articles, had a full head of steam. The train had several cars loaded with coal from different mines. The train was getting ready to run along the designated number 4 track. It was heading to Whitesburg, Kentucky, then onward to make its delivery of coal to the steel mills of Pennsylvania. The engine was in perfect running order, and there did not appear to have any faults with the braking system at that time. According to some of the newspaper sources of the time, this is what is alleged. A man who was not familiar with the workings of a train climbed on board of the engine with the coal cars. It is not clear if this man did this on purpose willingly, or if it was out of curiosity. However, he is said to be a hostler. A train hostler is an engineer that moves trains around in the rail yard to get them in position for later use. The man in question then put the train into gear and jumped from the train once it began to roll. Other articles have the man jumping from the train once it started to gather speed. In yet another article, there is a story of an unidentified prowler that may have been the cause of the accident. This is what is claimed, even though there does not seem to be any arrests or convictions in this matter. Also, the man in question is not named by any of the articles. So it could be a case that the man did not exist and was used as a scapegoat to explain why the train was moving on its own. There are a couple of articles that state that the reason for the train to start rolling is a mystery. Still another claims that no one is taking seriously about the story of the mystery man. It is rumored to be a fiction to relieve L&N Railroad of any financial liability, according to the source. The coal train and its cars were running in reverse on the tracks. There are some reports that this train was running at 45 miles per hour on this track on its way to Whitesburg without a driver. Several of the L&N, Louisville and Nashville Railroad workers saw that the train began its riderless journey down the tracks. The alarm quickly went out in the Neon train yard. The workers knew that the Lexington passenger train was due to arrive on its normal schedule. From Neon, the men hastily tried to assemble and catch the runaway train with a rescue engine and rescue party on board. This attempt was unsuccessful. However, they are the first rescue on the scene and did help as many passengers and injured as possible. The Louisville and Nashville passenger train number 1 was arranged in a certain way because of the time that they lived in and because of the soot that came from the engine. Remember that all trains of that time ran on coal-powered steam engines. Trains arranged the cars according to what or who would get the brunt of the smoke and soot that came from the engines. The first cars were often filled with baggage. In the case of the L&M passenger train number 1, only one car was filled with baggage. The other cars were filled with passengers. Seeing the oncoming backward runaway train approaching them at a high rate of speed, the engineer, Dad Glidson, aboard the passenger train held back on the throttle for as long as he could. He also yelled to his fireman, John Alphin, to jump. However, either Gibson was not heard or Alphin did not react fast enough, as only Gilson jumped from the train engine. Some of the passengers who saw the oncoming train also jumped to get away from the collision. The trains hit each other so hard that it gave a huge thunderous noise that shook the houses and buildings near it. The baggage car telescoped into the first passenger car. John Alphin, the train fireman, and two passengers in the first car died instantly. Due to the quick action of Dr. Pigman and Dr. Wright, the rescuers, citizens of the area, and crew that were from Millstone, Kentucky, all who answered the call for help, there were a count of only 25 passengers who were injured, but none of those injuries were fatal. There are many who died that were found on the scene, or who had died within days of the accident, and their names will be called out later in this video. A later train arrived that evening carrying doctors and surgeons from Hazard and Lexington, Kentucky. By the time of its arrival, all of the severely injured victims had been removed from the train and was being treated for their injuries at the Fleming Hospital in Fleming, Kentucky. The location of the collision happened in the congested area of Seco. The train tracks run between the river and the town. The Southeast Coal Company Hospital, the old Seco grade school, and the bridge that crossed over Boone Creek into Seco were located close to where this accident happened. The houses in the area shook from the noise, and the noise from the two trains colliding into each other scared many of the people who lived in the area. Two of the occupants in coach car number 1 were killed on impact. The two dead passengers can be either A. Pearson, his profession is unknown, who might have died instantly or a few days later, Frank Williams, who was a miner, who died instantly, or Norris Williams, who was a railroad brakeman, who may have also died instantly or a few days later. The rest of the occupants in the car had to be removed from the wreckage. It was a scene of twisted metal with sparks and hot embers from the burning coals. The passenger train was smashed, with the boiler split open, with the remains of the baggage car and the passenger car number 1 jumbled together. Both engines had been destroyed in the accident. Many of the passengers that were found in this wreckage had survived the impact. However, they were severely burned from the hot water that came out of both engine boilers and had multiple other injuries. Injuries from the other coach cars included S.T. Walker, who was a railroad mail clerk. He sustained multiple and serious injuries about the head and the neck. R.C. Kennedy, lineman for the L&N Railroad, sustained injuries to his body and neck when he was thrown head first into the ground. Tyden Wright sustained a broken leg and internal injuries when he was thrown from the coach. These are the known deaths from the accident. John Alphin, the train's locomotive fireman, died instantly. James Hayes, a miner who passed away from his injuries the next day. J. A. Pearson, his profession is unknown. He has two conflicting statements of death on his certificate. One states that he died of a fractured skull and pneumonia on September 22nd, 1917 from his injuries from the accident. Another statement reads that he died instantly on the scene. Frank Williams, a miner, died instantly. Norris Williams, a railroad brakeman. Death certificate implies that he died instantly, but he has his death listed as September 24th, 1917. There was a lawsuit that was brought by Tyden Wright against the Lexington and Nashville, the L&N Railroad Company. The suit was for the recovery of injuries and damages from the accident. The railroad company claimed that they were not responsible for the wreck, as it was caused by a person or persons unknown, and they were not captured. The judge agreed with the railroad, and thus the lawsuit was unsuccessful. However, Wright did deny that this happened, and there was no evidence to prove the story right or wrong about the hostler. There is not a whole lot of information that is published online about this accident. To the owners of the Right Bait website, We owe a huge debt of gratitude for preserving the articles that are used in this video as references. Without you, the accident and all of those who died would be lost to history. We hope that you have enjoyed this walk through the Seco, Kentucky train wreck of 1917. While we understand that there is not very much information out there about the wreck, we found all that we could concerning its historical events. We thank you again for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell for notifications. And please comment below. Thank you.